we'll get going for the guys that are here, hey, and then if other people want to jump in along the way, they can. So, all right, yeah. So thanks for coming along, the guys. Those of you that are already in. Today we're up to episode 4 of the contractor webinar series, and this one is on something that I'm interested in a lot too. Is finding valves, faults, and wire breaks using Armada tech I've got there, but also using some HR products as well. I don't know if it's something that HR products make or bring in, but some handy tools that you can use to find and fix things. Okay, so it's going to be myself doing the presenting, and Adrian and also Kate are along from HR products, and they'll be doing the technical stuff. So jump in along the way. If you got any questions, just yell out, and yeah, hopefully you get something out of the session. So today's webinar, we'll be looking at some common electrical faults in irrigation systems, what they are, locating lost valves in landscapes, looking at the Armada technology range of tools, what they are and how to use them. And again, also the HR products range of tools, what they are and how to use them. And also, a Q&A, but let's keep that open along the way. And if you've got some big questions at the end, or if you want to take it offline and speak to myself or Adrian or Kate, then we can do that too. Rightio. So just a bit of a reminder here of a traditionally wired system. Now, there are some of the Armada tools that help you troubleshoot 2-wire systems as well. So it's not isolated to traditional or multi-core wire, but it is based around that. So you got your common wire. There's one that goes to all the valves. So in this case, it's the white wire. It's usually the black in Australia. And then you've got one colored wire going to each valve. Okay, so you got your actives and a common. Okay. Radio. So some of the common faults. So we've got power supply at controller not present. This can be either a faulty transformer, commonly caused by a power spike or brownouts. It's usually something that's really hard to judge. The controller just dies, and you generally don't know the reason why. Well, there's no power at the controller GPO. So some really easy ways to check this. You can either unplug the controller and plug a hairdryer or a drill in the same power point. And if the drill works in the same power point, then you've got a faulty controller or transformer. And if the drill doesn't work still, then you've got a faulty GPO, so you've got to fix that. So something that's a good idea to check really early on. Broken wire to the solenoid or valve, so that can be the common or the active. If it's the common wire, you're probably going to have a fault with most or all of your valves. And if it's an active wire, you're probably more likely to have a fault with a particular valve where the wire's broken, and it can present as a nick or a cut. It's generally caused by environmental stress, shovels, machinery, even poor installation. If there's rocks around and then you bury the cable and it's a bit stretched, that can nick the cable and cause damage for you as well. Corrosion of wires. So this is water ingress due to poor wire joins or nicked cable to begin with. And that can cause the system or the cable to fail. And then the last one's soil burnout. So pretty common as the coils age, generally due to the age of the solenoid. And that can just happen over time. There's some simple checks you can do to test this and to isolate this. But yeah, we'll be focusing on those Armada tools today. And just a bit of a note at the bottom here. So if you got frequent exposure to high current. So maybe if you're not using an irrigation controller, or if the controller you're using is putting out an unreliable current, that can cause damage to your coils. And many of these issues, particularly cable faults or poor wire joins, they present themselves after rain or irrigation events. That's when they become more, more obvious, and when they might pop up. So you might think something's just happened, but it might be a fact that we've just had a lot of rain, as we have in Melbourne and across the eastern states here, or you've been irrigating a lot more as well. Has anyone got any questions or anything to add to that first little snippet of presentation? It's pretty general, Rightio. So now we move across to Adrian and Kate, and they're just going to discuss some of these tools that can help you. So must-have tools. Adrian, Kate, go for it.
Thanks, Simon. Hi, everyone. Thanks for your time this afternoon. Sorry to everyone who's not feeling very well. I've been through the COVID about 8 weeks ago also, and I hear it's going around again, so all the best for that.
Yeah.
So, so we're having a look at the three basic type of troubleshooting tools at the moment. You can see on the slide there, the first one on the left is the Armada Pro 48. The middle one there is called a rattler or chatter. Chatter is also referred to as a chatterbox, and the third one on the right there is the solenoid seeker. So I'll start off with the middle one, the rattler. That's probably the most cost-effective tool to help locate solenoid valves. Simply, all it does is it plugs into the common at the controller and the zone that you're trying to locate. So this scenario is where we're looking for solenoid valves we can't find in the landscape that have been overgrown by trees and shrubs and things, or just you just don't know where the solenoid valve is and you need to actually locate it. So by plugging this little device, the rattler, into the common and the zone. So when I mean the zone, I mean zone 1 if you're just trying to find the first one. And then you activate that station on the controller. It'll cause the coil to chatter or turn off and on rapidly, about 100 times a second. And that audible noise can help you locate a missing valve. So like I said, I think they're under $50, around $50 sort of tool. So they're not very expensive to buy, and they do help you find missing valves in the landscape.
What's the limitations with those, Adrian? Like things like depth, and is that something that you can say, or you just got to be aware of that sort of stuff?
Probably the one limitation with it is that if you have a broken wire to a valve, it's not going to rattle. Okay, so pretty obvious, but it's so basically just the limitation is the coil is in working order, and the wiring's in good condition, but you just don't know where the solenoid valve is.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so that's one. Similar to
sorry, Adrian, how loud is that? Like
well, when you've got a valve on a desk and it rattles, it's very loud. I don't know what the decibel reading would be. I'd have to measure it. But yeah, if it's buried in a valve box and under shrubs and things, and there's a lot of traffic noise around, it can be quite sometimes difficult to hear. So yeah, that's another limitation, I guess you could say that affects the use of that tool.
Pretty handy though, no? Like if the valves aren't too deep, and you can usually hear them out, can't you?
Yeah, look, you generally can. It's hard to describe the sort of noise level of it, but it's a chatter or a click, a constant click. So you probably all heard a coil click when it powers up. It's basically that sound about 100 times a second.
Oh.
So if that's a problem, you can't find it because it's too noisy. The solenoid seeker on the right-hand side, the SS 2002, I think the 2002 that's our product code at HR Products, but I've got a funny feeling that might be the year it was made or invented or come up with, a concept was come up with. So that little device, I have one here as well also. It runs off a 9-volt battery. I don't know if you can, the camera's not going to fully focus on that very well.
Change the blur, and it might
Change the background.
yeah, because it blurred out.
Is that better?
Yeah.
So that's it there. It runs on a 9-volt battery in the back. And if you notice the little socket on it there, that accepts a piece of, I think, 16 mil or 20 mil conduit. So you can cut that conduit to a length that's suitable, and you can walk around and wave this over the ground where the valve is, where the active solenoid is, to try and find it. I'll try and replicate that here. So I've just got a coil on the desk here that's turned on. Then you flick this little switch on here, lights up, and then when it's over the coil, you hear that noise. It also has a blue LED light on the top of it. Now that'll work up to a depth of around about 0.5 meter.
Yeah.
So it's good in scenarios where you've got a reasonable idea where the valves might be based on experience or knowledge of the site, where the sprinklers or sprays or drips are, and where typically valves are located. And then you can basically just walk around and wave it around like a wand on the ground until it sort of lights up and gives you an audible noise and a blue LED light. So that's a really cool little tool, that one.
What do you know what they retail for off the top of your head? Did you say that?
They're around 220, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Then the Pro 48 on the left there, the Armada Pro 48, is it's from Armada Technologies in the US. It's Armada make a lot of our higher end sort of cable locating tools.
Yeah. That's it.
So
Is that it?
Yeah, that's the tool on the left hand side there, Pro 48. Yeah, it looks like that. And it also comes with what's called a tone tester.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Pro 48 is a multi-purpose tool. It can activate solenoids directly from the handheld device.
Cool.
It can verify the 24 voltage at the controller. And it can also detect open and short wires in the field. It can also make solenoids chatter or rattle, like the little rattler that's got a built-in chatter into it. And it can also check solenoid condition to tell you whether the solenoid is at end of life, if it's burnt out, or if it's getting pretty sad state. So the little tone tool that comes with it, what that does is helps you determine what zone the valve is actually wired into. So, for example, if you had a manifold of 4 stations or 4 valves and you weren't exactly sure which wire color was to what zone, etc., you can activate that zone on the controller and touch the probe onto the coil, and it'll beep and buzz at you when you're on the right coil for that zone. So yeah, it's a multiple function test for electrical troubleshooting. So yeah, it covers most of the. If anyone uses multimeters and they know how to use a multimeter, it's an irrigation multimeter, for want of a better word. It won't tell you the actual voltage at 24.6 volts, but it'll tell you that there's enough there, 24 volts to run a irrigation system.
Keeps all the troubleshooting simple, huh?
Yeah, that's right. It just sort of keeps it simple for the purposes of what an irrigation installer or landscaper is trying to fault find.
Yeah. Cool. So we've done the rattler. Yeah, and then there's just an image there of the that locating device.
Yeah, so that's the SS2002. So you can see on the image there that the person is holding a piece of conduit with the solenoid seeker pressed onto the bottom of it, just a press fit thing. You can glue it in if you like, it's just PVC. And then with an active solenoid, it'll target that solenoid coil and give you an idea of where it is, and allow you to excavate it, replace it, test it further, locate it, put a valve box over it. You'd be surprised there are solenoid valves out there in the ground without valve boxes around them sometimes. So, yeah. So this is another Armada product, the Pro 900. So this is the higher end of cable locating and fault finding. So this tool here is a Pro 900 digital locator. And what it does is tracks cables for you. So basically we connect it to so basically we pull all the wires or one of the wires out of the irrigation controller. We connect one clamp from the Pro 900 to the wires and another one to ground. So I don't know if you can see in the image back one on slide 10, Simon, if you can go back to that one there.
Yeah.
There's a little ground stake there. So what we're trying to do here is create an electrical circuit between the cable we're trying to follow and earth. So we create what then is an electrical circuit. The Pro 900 will push high voltage down that cable path. So up to 3,000 volts. It's at very, very low amps, so it's not going to kill you, which is a good thing. And then with the wand, it enables you then to wave that wand over where you think the wire path might be or find, and give you an audible tone and a digital readout of the strength of what the Pro 900 is picking up, the voltage that's being passed through the cable from the base unit. So this unit here will help you mark out in the landscape on the turf, garden and lawn area exactly where the cable is, up to a depth of 2.5 meters.
Any questions, guys, on any of this stuff so far? Anyone used anything like this or? Cool.
So the Pro 900 is the latest cable locator from Armada. It's a digital cable locator. The prior model to that, Pro 800 and Pro 700, had an analog readout on the handheld wand and the base unit. So this has gone digital. It's also has some built-in noise filtration, so that what can also happen is that if there's high frequency underground power cables nearby, they can sometimes interfere with that voltage signal. You can get what's called like a voltage throwover underground. So the Pro 900 has a built-in filtration, electrical filtration. It also has, as I mentioned on the wand, a digital strength indicator. So it'll give you a number between 0 and 100 of the strength that it's actually reading, and that'll help you pinpoint the location of the cable. As I mentioned previously, up to 2.5 meters deep. The other little tricky thing with this unit is you can also estimate the depth of the cable that's buried by using what's called a triangular method. So in simple words, I haven't got a slide of that, I'm sorry guys, but simply basically once with the wand, once you find where the cable is, you point the wand on the ground, hold it at 45 degrees and then drag it backwards across the ground. And when the tone disappears, the distance from where the cable was to where that fades out triangularly works out to be approximate depth of the cable. So it can also help you say, tell you that the cable's approximately 200 millimeters deep or 10 inches, etc. So it gives you a bit of an idea.
Cool.
There's a link in the slide also too that we've chucked in there. There's a it's on slide number 12, Simon.
Next one.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So there's a link in that slide there that if you go to that later on, it'll take you to an Armada video where Armada, Jim Careful from Armada and another employee are actually testing and using this device on a system on someone's house. So it might give you a bit more perspective and a better idea of how it all works.
Yeah, cool.
So if anyone's got any questions, feel free to ask away.
And we are, I don't know if anyone's had a look yet, but we have launched a new website in the last couple of weeks. And the Armada range is not on there as yet, but we do plan to get it on there in the next little bit. So it'll be available to buy as well. And as part of this, we're going to be offering a discount as well if any of you are interested in the range. What I might do in the meantime, whilst it's not on the website, is I'll send out a bit of a price list to the people that have attended, if you like, so you can get an idea, and then you can get in touch with me. Has anyone got any questions or feedback on these or other units that they've used before?
Has anyone ever come across a system that they've had to do any cable locating or fault finding before?
Many times.
Yeah, because I know a few contractors actually get cable locating guys to come in, and there's quite a few around now that do it professionally, and they charge for it, which is fine as well. So that sometimes people use other contractors also.
Yeah.
It just depends on, I guess, how often you in your work life come across that issue and whether it's justification to spend the money on the tools. One thing that Armada, when they trained us on these tools, did tell us that although the tools are good and they do help you determine where cables are and breaks and faults and things like that, the part of the troubleshooting and finding cables at a site is, I think from memory, they said 70% tool will do the work, 20% it's actually local knowledge, contractor knowledge, or even the homeowner, a bit of idea from them, and then 10% pure luck. So it's not an exact science, these tools, but they do help, and can help ultimately save you guys time on site, which is pretty important to everyone nowadays. Time.
Yeah. I just pasted the link to that YouTube video in the comments section if anyone wants to grab that and watch that afterwards. Yeah. Is anything else from anyone? Yeah.
So we just put our prices together, it'd be good.
What was that? Sorry.
If you just get our prices together, it'd be great.
Yeah, not a problem. Well, yeah, until we get up on the website, I'll put something together tomorrow and email it around to you guys with a discount code. So you can have a look at that gear if you like.
Yeah, all good.
Could I ask, out of interest, has anyone been on the new website?
No.
I think I have.
Yeah. How'd you find it?
Can't remember, to be honest.
must be good then.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm on it every day, you know. Like
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, yeah. Thanks everyone for coming along, and I hope you got something out of it. And that's going to be the last one for this year because we won't be doing one on the last Thursday of December. Probably fire back up the last Thursday of January. I'll shoot out the topic and get underway again there. But yeah, thanks for supporting us, and hope you got something out of the session, hey?
All good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Simon.
Thanks,
Just
everyone.
a quick one. Which are the tools there? I'm assuming it was the last tool. How does it help you locate a break in a cable?
Okay, good question. So once you set up the base unit and connect it to your cables and then create a ground with the stake, one other thing I didn't mention too, with the earthing of the ground, sometimes it's good to wet the ground where the stake goes to create a good circuit. As you're starting to track the cable from the controller, obviously we sort of got a fair idea where it's coming out of the controller. You'll notice the digital display may weaken in its signal strength or disappear completely. So if you're getting a good track of cable and a good solid read, and all of a sudden it starts to sort of wane off a bit or get very, very low and then come back again, high number, just have a look back where you've walked, have a look around at what's happened. Maybe there's been a new drain put in by a plumber or something like that, or a bit of fresh soil turned over. There's a pretty good chance there that you've got a nick or a break in the cable at that point there. And then you can sort of concentrate on that area with the wand of the Pro 900 and then sort of take good notice of the readings and the digital readout to see what the numbers are doing, and then make an excavation at that point there and find the cable, and you'll probably more than likely find the sheath of the cable that's been rubbed off or broken or cracked or something like that. So it's purely done by the digital readout and the signal strength and the audible tone. That'll give you a good indication if there's a break.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah, cool. Thanks everyone, and thanks Kate and Adrian for coming along too and helping run it.
No worries. Thanks everyone for coming, and all the best with COVID and sickness.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thanks, mate. There you go.
No worries.
So.
Yeah.